In this project, it is the IM assignment. You will need a pencil, Sharpie, something to color with. I'm going to use watercolors. You are more than welcome to use colored pencils, crayons, watercolors, paint. And you need a long vertical piece of paper. I'm using a 6x9. You could use an 8.5x11. You could use a 9x12. We just want a longer piece of paper. So once we get started, I'm doing mine in Sharpie, my example, but please feel free to complete yours in pencil and then go over it in a permanent marker. The first thing we're going to do is divide our page using 4 lines. And we want to kind of evenly space that. So you may want to eyeball, okay, about how much room is that? So if you look back at my original, and see how I space that out. And you can do straight lines. You can do wavy lines. Don't do anything too crazy because we're putting type in between. So I have my page now divided so that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sections. In the directions, it's asking you to come up with 3 words that describe yourself. And then you're going to start an I am statement at the top, and you're going to put your name at the bottom. So that's why we need the 5. Now, you may want to do this in pencil to make sure that you're spelling the words correctly before going over them in Sharpie. Again, I'm doing mine in Sharpie so that it's easier to see. Now we want to stretch the letter. So they're going to start at the line and go all the way to the top. I'm working on I am. Even if we're doing lowercase letters, I still want us to stretch them. We are mimicking the work of Paul Klee and Derrick Hickman, who is a contemporary artist. So you can see I am, it stretches all the way to the top of the page and goes all the way to the line. The next one will be one of your first words. Again, you want to stretch it to the top and bottom of the lines. You also want to make sure if it's a longer word to start clear over to the side so you have enough room. So I'm going to write the word creative, so I'm starting over here. Now, if you want to use lowercase, you can, but I still want you to stretch it. So there would be a lowercase r. I wanted to do a lowercase e. A lowercase I becomes a little bit of a problem because we want to see these shapes in between. So you can see that I made it really tight where that space is. If I'm doing a smaller word, I can either stretch out the word or put it to one side that seems like it needs more balance. My next word is going to be fun. So think of those words that describe you: athletic, creative, artistic, kind. Think of some big words for 5th grade: enthusiastic. So you can see how fun. And then my last word is enthusiastic. So again, this is one that you might want to do in pencil. Make sure you spell it correctly. Make sure you have enough room. And then the last line is your name. It can be just your first name. So you can see I have my 3 words that are stretched. Now we want to look at the spaces in between each of these, and we're going to color those in. So I'm using watercolor. We don't want to get the watercolor really wet because then it's going to kind of bleed through the page. Now, you can pick a limited amount of colors, maybe your 2 or 3 favorites. You could do the rainbow of colors. It's really up to you. One thing we don't want us to do is do red, red, red all the way down. We want to skip around. So you want to skip around your page using the same color over and over again, but jump around because this does two things. It forces you to skip through your page. It saves you time by not having to clean out your brush. You just go straight down. But it also gives a chance for that color to dry, because if I went right back up and started painting right next to the red area that's still wet, those two colors are going to merge together and kind of bleed into one another. So skipping around the page gives us a little bit of a chance for that color and that water to set and dry. So I'm gonna just fill in each shape with a color and continue using that color all the way down the page, making sure that two areas don't touch each other with the same color. Now I'm gonna go and finish out a color. At the very end though, I might need to go back in and just touch up a few areas that were skipped based on the colors that were around them. The other thing you can think about is the way you use the watercolors. If I'm using more water and less paint, I'm going to get a lighter color. If I use less water and a little bit more paint, I'm going to get a darker color. So that's a great way to kind of vary the color within the pages. In the end, I can go back in and see the areas that were missed and kind of calculate what color needs to be there based on the colors at the top and bottom and fill those in. If you have a few little areas that stay white, that's okay too. You just want to balance it out across the page. And that's our I Am project. I am creative, fun, enthusiastic. I am Mrs. Rodenbaugh. Please upload your final to Artsonia.